Alright, we're going to be making a box and whisker plot to help our friend Eric, who's arguing with his parents that he deserves to have his phone back. You see, they took it from him because he's spending too much time on the phone and not enough time studying. So here are his text messages by day for the last 12 days. These text messages, they can be quite distracting if you're trying to study. So you can see they're not really in order here. So the first step is that we are going to put them in order, and we put them in order right here. That is an easy step. That's something that we're used to doing in a lot of problems. And you can probably guess the second step that we're going to do here. We're going to find the median. So you can see the numbers are in order, and it says right here that it's 12 days. So the middle number in 12 is tough to find. You're going to have two medians here. So we could maybe mark this off. You're going to go in six numbers in order to get to the middle. 1, 2, 3. I won't do 6. I'll just show you how I came up with that. We had 5 here, and if we go 5 off to this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see the sixth number in is 85. That's going to be where our median is, right in the middle of these 85s, right there. So if both numbers are 85, then 85 text messages is the median. Step 3 is to find the quartile once we've identified the median. So we're going from here to right there. So we're going to include 85 when we find this first quartile. And it's the same thing. I'll do this in a different color. Maybe we'll use blue. It's going to be the same thing when we find the third quartile over here. So from there to there, we're going to include 6 numbers. Again, when you have 6 numbers, you're going to find it's going to be the middle of we could cross off that and that number there and that number there. It's going to be in the middle of 65 and 70. You could add those up and divide by 2. If you add them up and divide by 2, you're going to get 67.5. And maybe I'll go back to green over here on this side just for symmetry. We check that, and we check off 2 over here. We're left with 105 and 120 in the middle. Just so we know the process, I'll add these up for you. So when we add them up, we get 225, and of course we have to divide that by 2. We're finding the middle number here, and it wouldn't make any sense to say that 225 is in the middle of this data set, because Eric never came close to 225 text messages in one day. And that'll go in 11 times. We'd have to annex a 0 in this case, and we bring that 0 down here, so it becomes a 10. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and so we get 112.5 for the third quartile. So now that we have the quartiles, we can test for an outlier. Remember, when you're making a box and whisker plot, the quartiles are going to be kind of the ends of the boxes. The median's going to separate the two boxes. And we have to test for an outlier to see if we can put that star on the paper. So to test for an outlier, of course, we need the IQR. So the IQR would be 45. We would take that number and multiply it by 1.5. And what we end up with is 67.5. So what we're going to do is add that to quartile 3 and subtract that from quartile 1. Subtract quartile 1 when we do minus 67.5. It's actually going to equal 0. That's an unusual case, but that's what happens here. So basically what that tells us is that any number could be very low, and it wouldn't be an outlier in this situation based on how spread out the numbers are. And then in quartile 3, we also don't have an outlier because a number could be 179. It still wouldn't be an outlier. You can see here the highest number we have is actually 140. So we're done with that. There is no outlier in this particular case. Step 5 is to identify the whiskers. You can see we've already listed in order. So the lowest number is 45. The highest number is 140. So that's essentially a range. And step 6 is to actually make the box and whisker plot. So we could plot our median here of 85. That would be the long line. You should probably use a ruler for this. I'm going to quickly do this. I actually have it done on the next screen. Quartile 1 would be right here, and quartile 3, you can see this space right here is actually 110. So quartile 3, 112.5 would be in between 110 and 115. That would go right here, and we'd have to connect these lines here. You know, mine won't be perfect. You get the idea though. So you can see our boxes are done, and then the next thing would just be to make sure we get the whiskers. So we go all the way to 140. which is in between 135 and 145. And then we'd also do this side, which goes to 45. So that's our whisker right there. And that's essentially it. You can get a better picture for it here on the next screen. And step 7 is, of course, answer the question, how are we going to help Eric? Well, the case I would make for Eric is that since there isn't an outlier here, it's not like his habits are really changing that much. Even though if this is day by day how many text messages he sends, he's clearly sending more lately. Um, I would actually have to go in and sit down with my parents if I was Eric and say, all right, well, what do you want me to do in my classes? How do you, what are my goals? What do you think I can do? And what do you think, how much time do you want me to spend on these? And work from there. But anyway, I think Eric he's doing okay because he hasn't changed his habits that much from day 1 over here when he sent 60 to day 12 where he's sending 140. He's gradually becoming worse. So he better watch it.